Welcome to the next episode of On the Couch with the Ethicalist. Today we have a lady who I admire greatly, and it's an honour to have her here today, Sarah Brook, who is the founder and CEO of the Sparkle Foundation. The Sparkle Foundation, which I will leave to you to describe exactly what it is a UAE-based charity that has started by helping children in Malawi, but is looking to spread across the African continent. Sarah, it's such a pleasure to have you here with me today.
Thank you.
Welcome. So I think first things first is, would you mind just telling us your story? I've heard your story at a wonderful Sparkle Foundation breakfast that you held, and everybody in the room was just sat silently. You could have heard a pin drop. It's a beautiful story and a purposeful story, and I'd love it if you could share it with our listeners.
Sure, no problem at all. I closed my eyes at 18 and pointed at a map, quite literally, and my finger landed on Malawi. I'd always had this burning desire to want to travel the world and sort of see what people were doing outside of sort of the sphere of influence that I was in. And I called my parents. I was like, I'm off to Malawi. And they said, okay, sure about that? Where's that? I said, it's in Africa. I said, okay, go and get a job or do something if you want to go, because I'm not sure how we feel about it. Could you not just go and do normal and a gap year experience? I was like, no, this is what I want to do. So I went, spent 3 months over there, and unfortunately ate too much of the local food, and it just didn't agree with me. I'd come from having regular food from the UK, and after 6 weeks I got a twist in my bowel. I got rushed to the hospital unconscious. They said they need to operate, but there was a 96% chance of HIV. There was no sterile equipment, and the doctor said, never done the surgery before, but I'm prepared to give it a go, to my friend. So you can only imagine, I was fortunately unconscious, so I didn't know what was going on. But for him, he was like, what's the other choice? And then, like, go to a private hospital 2 hours away, but she might die before she gets there. And there's no ambulance, there was no phone, like phone for help. And he said, I think I'd rather take that chance, even if there's a risk she might die. And so he did, one I'm unbelievably grateful for. I wouldn't be sat here today if it had not made that decision. Went to the hospital, private, had surgery, spent 3.5 weeks there. And he came to visit me and said, Sarah, when we were at the local hospital, there's something you need to know. There were 300 people at least waiting in the queue to see the one doctor. And when you go to hospital in Malawi, like, you're only going because you're so desperate and you're on death's door. And he said, but when they saw you, you were prioritised to be seen first. And you were the doctor for nearly 2 hours. And when we came out, some of the people in the queue, who were children, had died while waiting. And yeah, I mean, I think you'll understand that moment just changes your entire life forever.
Yeah,
I just remember looking at the colour of my skin and realising, goodness, I've been born into a privilege that I didn't even know, and this has kept me alive. And I just said, okay, I have to do something. I don't know what. And my parents were like, just come home. Like, you're alive, just come home. I was like, no, I am alive because people died for me to be saved. And I now have a voice to do something about that. And even if it's just one child, I am going to do something. And that was sort of, okay, I'm going to do something. I had no idea what that something would look like. And that's how it started. And from that point on, I went to uni and ended up building a small nursery school with my mum. When I was 21, she came back with me because she was like mortified of, don't go back there alone, we might never see you again. And honestly, I walked away as a 21-year-old, like, I've done my bit to help the charity sector. I've ticked a box that I feel good, I've helped, and I think anyone who gets involved with charity will know there's a feeling that comes with it. And I walked away, went back to be a journalist back at home, and I thought I'd go and surprise everybody a year later. And it was like a surprise video gone wrong, truthfully. I walked through the village, like, here I am arriving back to see everyone. Open the gates, nobody was there. No roof, no toys, no children. And it was just like the most heartbreaking moment of like, why? And I called home and my parents were like, that's Africa, that's corruption. And then it was like ping in my mind. And I was like, no, that's a 21-year-old who had no knowledge of the charity sector, built something that wasn't sustainable, that they never even asked for in the first place, built something truthfully from a white saviorism, I think I know what's best, I'm going to tell you what I think is best perspective, and then walked away to go and live my nice life. And everyone was like, just walk away. I was like, no, I can't. I found out the average life expectancy of a charity in Malawi was 2 years. it's so easy to put up a building. It's so easy to build, to do, but it's actually hard to look at long-term impacts. And then I decided to volunteer at 13 charities around the world to understand best practice. And over that period of time, I realised, unfortunately, the charity sector is very corrupt, very political, and it's not sustainable. We can throw this word around like we want, but we're all putting money into a bottomless pit. That is the world getting any better? So I was like, I have an idea. Let's try and collaborate. Let's mirror the corporate sector. Let's do best practice. Let's do something different. Went to the UK government, put my idea forward. They pretty much laughed at me, said it's never going to happen. So I was like, okay, where can I make it happen? Dubai, land of opportunity. And that was really, the second start for that journey for me. And then Sparkle, look where we are here today. It's been a journey.
I'm absolutely sure. And I think that there's so much more to that journey that hasn't even been touched upon in what you've just told me now. But the resilience that you had to not give up. I think many people at 21 years old were not trying to build orphanages and then change and find a strategy that would make it sustainable. Lots of people would have walked away, and there's a lot of credit to you for that. Now, I know that when you came to Dubai, originally the charity was something, obviously you had to pay rent and pay bills, and you started working as a journalist.
Yep.
You mentioned that that's what you studied at university. So I know that there was a moment that you touched upon when you and I spoke at the breakfast that you held, where you mentioned a certain Elon Musk. Would you be able to elaborate on that story? Because it's just about somebody who, no, actually this isn't. So I'll hand over to you.
I mean, I think there's been a big milestones in my life. I actually did a psychology degree and then shifted into journalism, very much so I could be a voice to people. I didn't know how that would look. Coming here, the tax-free salary meant that I could fund Sparkle as an individual. It was not a public thing. And after the heartbreak I'd gone through, I didn't want people to invest in me and then have to tell them it's not what it says it is. So I wanted to make sure I understood about the sector. So I did that for 3 years here in Dubai, working in PR, media events. And then we got to launch Tesla at the Burj Khalifa. Elon Musk was there. I was holding the microphone for him, going around doing Q&A. And at the end, he was like, so is this what you want to do with your life? And I was like, what's that? He's like, hold microphones for celebrities. I was like, absolutely not. I was like, I'm actually supporting children in Malawi. And he's like, brilliant. My advice to you, make money first and help afterwards. And I was like, okay. Coming from the richest man in the world, maybe he's got a point. Like, let me think about it. It only lasted about 2 hours of thinking, because by the time I reached home, we'd lost one of our children from diarrhea. And I was like, how can I be with the world's richest man in the afternoon, evening, and now be in a situation that for less than 5 dirhams, I've lost a child from something that could have been prevented. And there was just this like burning desire inside me that I was like, I can't continue to make rich people richer, truthfully, here in Dubai, while my heart needs to be somewhere else. And I've got a choice to make. And that choice is either I go and be on the ground and be where my heart feels this fulfillment and this need, or stay here. And I knew that everyone would try and talk me out of it. Like you said, I was living a very good life in a nice apartment. Everything was comfortable, nice car, nice everything. And at 25, I had the world at my feet. And I resigned that evening and sold it all, because it wasn't about money, it wasn't about job title, it was about a feeling that I needed to do. And every single person, truthfully, said it wouldn't be possible and I was making a mistake. There was not one person that said to me at the time, Sarah, this is a good decision that you're making.
Really?
No.
But you believed in it, and you believed in the Sparkle Foundation. And so what did you do next?
Moved to the village, found a little house of someone that would stay with me, and there was like 7 of us in this small place. I was like, I need to understand. If I am going to do something to help Malawi, I need to walk in the shoes of those that have been walking it. I can only provide resource and support from afar. Ultimately, I'm not Malawian, but I need to understand culture is a big part. So I was like, I'm just going to throw myself in. And that I did. I was going to the borehole, collecting water. Everyone was laughing at me. The ladies were trying to teach me how to balance. Obviously, I've not done it. So even when you'll go and you'll see Malawi, the ladies' heads are slightly flatter on the top because they become used. Mine is not. So it caused a lot of laughs. Even the cooking, I was killing chickens. Honestly, it was rogue. I was on my fire outside, sharing a toilet with probably 80 people, drop toilet. If I had any phobias of insects, it was well and truly gone. And I immersed myself so much in the village. I learnt the language. I was going to village court when there were situations that was happening. Apart from my skin colour, truthfully, I was in there and I was accepted. And it was such a moment defining for me in my life, but my body couldn't actually also cope with it. So I ended up with malaria, typhoid and dengue fever, triple whammy. So I was back in the UK.
Whoa. All at the same time?
Yeah.
Gosh.
So it's kind of, once you get malaria and then it shifted to cerebral malaria, your immune system goes down so low. And I'd obviously been carrying dengue for a while. So then it suddenly happened. I didn't know I had it. And then I got typhoid from the water. So the whole commotion, my parents were like, when I got home, London Hospital, tropical diseases, just come home, just do normal,
like,
get a normal job.
Sarah, we've had enough, please.
And I was like, no, I'm going back. Like, there's something happening here. And Sparkle's starting to move. We started with education programs. We suddenly got nutrition. And then we're looking at community and medical. And it was just evolving at such a rate that I was like, we're really onto something. And it's not me. It's not a couple of staff members. This is some sort of movement that I really feel is going in the right place. This is a community project that has got legs to do something, and I've got to see this through.
So I think we've skipped over how Sparkle Foundation kind of how it was established and how it started. So what was it originally, and well, when you initially started it, and what is it today?
So it started as a nursery school. Everyone says education, is about knowledge. Education's power. Education's the future, which I 100% agree with. But I quickly learned the hard way through failing. How do you educate a child who's hungry? They can't concentrate. All of our kids are falling asleep at 10 o'clock. How do you educate a child that's got some underlying medical condition that maybe can't concentrate, maybe can't see, can't even get to school in the first place because they've got a physical issue? So we then addressed it with medical programs, both at Sparkle and then outreach. Then it was, how do we concentrate sort of from a child perspective with if they're not coming? If they're not attending in the first place, why aren't they attending? They're not attending because the parents don't value education, because they've never been educated themselves. So as soon as we started educating the parents, giving them knowledge, we had a day in the life of a child at Sparkle where the parents came. I'll never forget it. Honestly, these parents were grappling over a ball. And it was like, wow, they never had access. And our attendance changed to 100% within 24 hours. And so that's how now Sparkle has evolved: education, medical, nutrition and community programs. And it's become a model. And then sort of sustainability sits as an umbrella over the top of it. And the UK government came back to me and said, this is brilliant. What a great model. We'd like to do something. So it's come now in full circle, and it's enabled us to scale at a rate that we never thought. We've replicated now in 3 different places. We've got a farm that's now funding our feeding programs. So we're moving in a way to do something different. And we're a pioneer, truthfully. What we do, I don't believe has been done before. And certainly now as we expand and grow, to have a franchise model is different.
And that brings me on to how many children are you helping at the moment? And you're just based in Malawi right now, but as you said at the start, and as you've just mentioned, that you plan to expand into a franchise model. That's incredible. Congratulations, and yeah, talk us through that.
Yeah, now I'm saying it officially. It's going to be happening. We're at 20,000 lives now as of today that we've helped in Malawi, and that's across 3 sites. And then we've got now our farm. We're building a 4th site, hopefully at the end with our UA Gala. The funds from that will do that. And what it looks like is we've spent pretty much 10 years getting facts, data, information about what works and what doesn't. We sit as a charity that is really good at operational delivery. And under our 4 pillars, we work with experts. So for our medical, for example, we've partnered up with Operation Smile. We've done some bits with MSF. We've done different medical people that want to do stuff in Malawi. They go, we need 5,000 people and we need this area and this is what we can do. And we'll go, right, we'll find the people. We've got the facilities, we've got all the data, we can work hand in hand. And that's across all 4 of our pillars, which is brilliant, which now means also with the way the world is going with AI digitalization, we can actually put that now into an algorithm to go, right, Ghana, Tanzania, Mozambique, does this model work? What is the viability? Without having to send people, because obviously carbon footprint and everything else, can we see, is it possible, yes or no? And then, yes, it is. And at that point, we then start saying, let's get boots on the ground. Let's work with teams that are already there. I do not believe the world needs another charity. People are already doing great things, but let's collaborate and do it. So for us now, it's about potentially either acquiring other charities that maybe their model wasn't working or they need some support, or second of all, sort of partnering with other existing organisations to be able to expand. So we've said 100,000 lives by 2030. It's going to be a big 5 years for Sparkle, and our plan is to expand across Africa, and we'll follow the need, not the money. So even if that doesn't happen, that's great, because then the need obviously wasn't there. If it does, let us be there to do it in the right way.
That's fantastic. Congratulations again. You know, that's really, truly remarkable what you've been doing. You touched upon sustainability. You touched upon very briefly how the environment is also a factor. I know, again, when we met last time, you talked quite significantly about the impacts of climate change that you've seen over the years, and that certainly the children that you're working with have seen. Can you tell us how you feel that maybe the changing climate is impacting Malawi?
It's huge. I mean, Malawi is in the top 6 countries that are affected by global warming, yet they contribute, I think it's 0.006%. It's so small. And I've witnessed firsthand myself being there. So it's a tricky situation. There's been 2 cyclones that I've been part of. The first one is a story in itself. I was meant to be going to meet the late Queen of England for an award, and I was all good, set to go and fly, and then we had a Cyclone Ida it was at the time. So the airport closed, so I couldn't even get there, so I had to send someone on my behalf. So that first one was always a reminder, but obviously I had to deal with what the situation was. And I thought maybe it's a one-off thing. And then the next year was in the same situation. So it was only last year we arrived, the heavens started opening, and everyone said, oh, there's a cyclone due. And it's not like how we see it in America, where you can start tracking and working out. You're there, no one's got TVs, no one really knows what's going on, and you're looking out your window to say, is it getting any worse, is it not? And before we knew it, it was getting so bad that I said to our team, right, get your boots on, let's go. And they're like, but we're not prepared. And I'd say it was probably up there as one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. The water was here. Like, to me, walking through water, we were pulling children out of places, and there was a situation that I was probably the distance between you and me 3 times over. We were driving in the car, and I could see these children all stood on an island screaming for help, and it was getting higher and higher. And I said to the guys that I was with, like, stop the car, we need to do something to help. So we went out to look, and I'm a lifeguard, I'm trained lifeguard, and there was a water flowing in between, and I was like, let's cross. And I was like, get rope from the back of the car, and they're like, we haven't got rope. And I stood in the water, and it was strong, it was gaining a current, because obviously the mud and the red, it was gaining. I said, right, let's make a human almost arm to arm to be able to go and reach them and pass them across. And they were like, you can't, we won't make it. And I was like, but I can't drive away from this situation, we've got to do something. And then, like, looked at me and then said, but Sarah, there's 20,000 lives that you're supporting through Sparkle, and if you go and something happens to you, what will we do? And it was one of the most, I mean, I've got nieces and nephews that are the same age as what these children were, and they pretty much forced me back into the car. And then, 2 days later, I had to drive through, and we were pulling bodies out of the water. And I was like, goodness. And then some of the children were there in the community, came and spoke to me and said, why is this happening to us? And I was like, how do I explain that something that's going on in the West, something that we're doing, is impacting you here to a point that you're losing your family, you're losing your siblings, you're losing your house every single year pretty much, and no one's really doing anything about it. And as awful as the situation was, it was at that point that I got this burning desire in my heart. I was like, every time someone now says to me, Sarah, why Malawi? We're not interested in Malawi, we're interested in this country. Because we've all got an obligation to the world. We're all human beings, and we all are affecting the planet in whatever way. And you just being sat here, if I can advise you to do something different, maybe it will mean that I won't have to go through that same experience when I go to Malawi again, because we can all contribute. And that's why I say it doesn't matter about nationality, religion, country. It's about us being humans, as a humanitarian, what we can do. And that's what's pushed me now into this kind of next level of, let's really scale this.
Absolutely. And I feel like, we recently did an article in The Ethicalist about the poorest nations being the most affected by climate change because of the carbon emissions that are coming from the West. And as you say, how do you explain that to people on the ground who have increasing droughts or increasing floods or, increasing horrific weather events? And what a decision for you to have to make. And I'm really sorry that you were put into that position where you were forced into that decision. That must have been extremely hard. How do you try and keep your operations sustainable as a charity?
I think something I always say as Sparkle, and we're very, very fortunate with this, is that we always try and position it as mutually beneficial. I think it's really important to work out what's your value that you can bring. And I didn't get it right at the start. I always felt like I was a glorified beggar or, asking for favours constantly, until I realised, and I was actually at this, there's a group here called Boardroom by Amir, and there's all these top 200 CEOs from the Middle East that get to go. And I was given sort of a year access to be able to promote Sparkle. And for the first 2 sessions of it, it's every quarter, I didn't really speak because I was like, I've not got this title. I'm not CEO of a big conglomerate. And then someone said something to me and said, Sarah, but 98% of us in this room would never be able to do what you do. And we all want what you've got. And it's like this light bulb moment that I was like, everyone is searching for purpose. Everybody wants to be able to make a difference. And actually, that is what I'm giving you access to. Like, I am now positioning corporates, individuals, volunteers with a chance to be able to make a difference. And very, very quickly, within 24 hours, you've got an opportunity to change someone's life. You don't get that opportunity that often. So rather than me going, please me do us a favour, I'm now much more of a, this is what we can offer you. And there's obviously all the other things, ESG, we've reports, employee engagement, employee satisfaction, pro bono hours, CSR, the whole thing that we can then offer you, marketing, branding, there's all of that. But the one significant thing, and I say this, I would be a billionaire right now if I could package up a feeling that I could give to people around the world in a world that right now is in a very dark place. We're giving you access to it for free. So for us, our sustainability now is corporate partners working with individuals, big companies who actually do care about the right things and go, I can see what Sparkle can bring to us. And when we say 20,000 lives that we've changed, I don't know how many lives we've changed when it actually is about people who've got involved with Sparkle, because people come and their lives are transformed right here in the UAE, and they walk out of our office or they come and volunteer for the day and they're like, thank you so much. And you've really helped me. And that's why I think we need to start positioning Sparkle very differently. It's not just about Malawi. This is about anyone finding purpose that we can give you the opportunity. And, 50% of our volunteers are Palestinian. How does that work? And that is because people just want to care, want to make a difference, want to do something. And there's no link between Palestine and Malawi. So it just shows you if they can do it with everything that's going on, like what can we do as an individual? Our youngest volunteer is 4 years old. If she can do something, then so can everyone.
And how do people volunteer?
They literally just reach out to us on our website, through social media, say you want to be a change maker. We've got 250 people in the UAE at the moment supporting us, and worldwide so many more across different countries. And we will always find a way for someone to get involved. Everyone's got a skill set. Maybe they don't know it, but we can find out what their superpower is, and whether it's an hour a week, an hour a day, there's something for everyone.
Okay, and what kind of volunteering activities are they doing?
How long is a piece of string? I mean, for you, whether it's in the media, whether it's Excel spreadsheets, whether it's going to Right Market for one of our selling or promoting, is it doing some research? Okay. Is it just sharing your contact list?
Yeah.
We've got someone doing drawings and illustration. We've got people helping out at events. We've even got a driver that volunteered his services at the weekend to help us. There's something for everyone.
Okay, fantastic. I want to just quickly hop back a few places, because you mentioned being in a room full of CEOs and company owners, leaders, and yet you didn't feel like you belonged. And yet, am I right in thinking you've been recognised by the UK government as one of the top charity CEOs in the UK? That's a big leap from somebody who doesn't feel like has imposter syndrome to actually recognizing. And I know you probably don't want to talk about yourself. This is about Sparkle Foundation, not me, but that's something to be proud of.
It is. I think the type of person I am, you get to a point. I said one life, I then said 100, I then said 1,000, I then said 10,000. Now we're at 20, and I'm now saying 100,000. I don't know, truthfully. I've been kept alive 7 times. I'm here for a reason. And for me, my entire life perspective is I'm here to serve humanity in whatever way that looks like. And if I believe I can help change the world, then I believe I'm going to do it. That being said, I never want to lose sight of who I am as an individual, why I did this in the first place. And I think it's only natural that sometimes we can get lost, especially here in Dubai, in lost in it all and how people are. And not everyone gets me, not everyone understands. I don't know what happened when I turned 30, but something did change. I was like, I'm a bit more sure about myself. I can't change a lot of things. I'm just going to own this. And that helped. But it's been a work in progress. And I do have doubts. I can't say that I didn't. I mean, in Malawi, I fought to get a seat at the table to have lunch with people, because as a woman I was told I wasn't even allowed to enter the dining room. Now I'm in a situation that I'm being asked to be on boards with these people. So I've gone on a journey, and I'm so grateful that I've gone on that journey. As I sit here now, I don't have those same insecurities, worries and fears. I could just walk into anywhere. But why is that? That is because I'm not representing myself. I'm representing a movement of people. I don't speak as a voice for Sarah. I speak because, and I'll push you and I'll challenge you, because I know that you can change someone else's life, and I can much easier represent someone else than I could myself. I'll leave truthfully to see what will happen with that. But my number one goal now is to make Sparkle known around the world for the right reasons, and for everyone like yourself to be able to get involved and make a difference.
Spoken like a true humanitarian. Staying with you just for one moment, I believe that you have, if we can talk about this, I believe that you're adopting a little girl from Malawi.
Yes.
Is that right? So you're going to be...
I'm going to be a mum. It's very surreal. I think a lot of people, when it comes to adoption, when I first went to Malawi, in the first few times, people used to shout at me like Madonna, Madonna, because she was known that she's adopted her 4 children from Madonna, from Malawi. And I think it really did put a perspective of me that even the amount of abuse that I've received over social media over the time, of people assuming I'm a certain way. Oh, here it is, another white person in a village in Malawi taking loads of pictures with children. And you're always going to get that. I came off social media for a period of time because of it. But anyone that knows me knows the story and knows the reason. This isn't just a suddenly woken up one moment and decided that the daughter I'm going to get is here. No, this is a 5-6 year journey. I've known her since she was 1.5. I've rescued her from a very difficult situation. We've tried to put her with family. We've tried to put her with her aunties and uncles. And it's her own father, who I've got a brilliant relationship with, that when she got offered a scholarship here by one of the schools in Dubai till she's 18, I said, let's do a guardianship. And he said no. He had the phone call with me and said, Sarah, you're the mother she's never had. She's known you since she's 1.5. You're the only person that's shown up continuously in her life. I want my daughter to have a family, and I know that the potential that what you can offer her is more than I'll ever be able to do, and you've got my complete blessing, and if you're happy to, please take her. And it was a massive moment. And I travel back to Malawi in a couple of weeks' time, and I was with her in March as I'm a support. I'm here at the house, and I was helping with the dad and the family, and I'm now going back and she calls me mum. I don't know even myself how I'm going to be. It's surreal. I don't know how long it's going to take, this process. Anyone that's gone through adoption knows it is a process, and I want to make sure every single thing is done correctly. It's not how people just suddenly see that I'm taking a child away from their family. There's a journey, there's legalities, there's everything. But I believe, honestly, that this is going to be life-changing, not only for me, but also obviously for her, and also for the entirety of the family. I'm in Malawi 3 months of the year. Most of my friends, family members now that know this, I'm more Malawian than I am British. I'm sad that, truthfully, the colour of my skin dictates what people assume or don't assume, but everyone who knows me knows where my heart is at. They know why I'm doing it, the reason behind it, and I just hope that I'll be able to give her the best opportunity that she deserves, because every child deserves what I had, and if I can give it to her, then it'll be the biggest blessing I've ever had in my life.
No, well, I have no doubt that you will, and you've already created and given a better life to so many children in Malawi. I think that she'll, it will be a blessing for her to have you, and she already has had you in her life.
Yeah.
But as a mother, but yes, being a mother, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I said to you earlier, I said it takes a village to raise a child. I said it's going to certainly take an entire community here to help me with this, because it's a huge undertaking, especially with my job. Like, it's very demanding. Yeah. I'm hoping people are going to be a bit more understanding now when they say come for dinners all the time, or we need you to speak at this, that I'll be able to say, unfortunately, I'm busy with this. It might be a bit easier.
Yeah, and I think you will find a way, much like every mother does. It's just navigating that process. So I know that time's probably running out fairly soon. I'd like to talk to you about the Sparkle Foundation Gala. Can you tell us a little bit about the gala?
Yeah, I mean, what started as just an idea of, okay, Singapore, New York, London all have these big fancy galas that we see, Warren Buffett going to and donating millions. I was like, but the UAE hasn't got one of those. Could we create it? And creating an event that people want to go to, and charity is a bonus, rather than we've all been there where we receive the charity ball invite and we're like, we kind of got to go because we need to do a good deed. And the event's usually distinctly average because obviously everyone's on a budget and it's great. But we didn't want to create that. We wanted to create something that there was a buzz around. And I don't know how it's now being called the Met Gala of the Middle East, but we'll take whatever we can.
Wow.
The whole event is sponsored. So it means that anybody attending the event, basically their money that they're contributing as a sponsor is going directly to Malawi. The last one, which was our second gala, was at Burj Khalifa, back on the same stage where I was with Elon Musk, by myself, holding my own microphone, sold out, saying, this is what Sparkle is doing, which is a full turn of events. This year it's outside Museum of the Future, Emirates Towers. We basically are in a position that after the gala last year, within 6 months, we were able to give everyone a report to say, this is what you've done, 5,000 lives have been changed. Unless you tell me otherwise, I don't know of a dinner that you can go to and have an incredible evening and within 6 months know that you've helped contribute towards changing 5,000 lives and see a picture and a video evidence. And that's what we're providing people with. So it's coming up 23rd of November. We are excited to see what we're going to be able to do. No idea where the venue for next year is going to be because the bar just seems to be getting higher and higher. But I'm unbelievably grateful. I get to see the worst, but also the best of humanity. And the gala is a real sign of that because it brings people together from all walks of life, all different industries, all people genuinely that are committed to putting their hand up and saying, I care about the world, I care about people, and I want to make a difference. And they're the types of people that I want in my life, I want to be around. And they're predominantly the majority of supporters that are backing me and Sparkle to do what we're here to do.
And if they enable you to carry on doing, what you started when you were 18 years old inadvertently without realizing it, then please support you. How do people get involved if they wanted to be sponsors next year? I presume just go to the Sparkle Foundation website and
exactly.
everything's on there.
We're in a fortunate position that from last year, pretty much we sold out straight away for this year. So it's not an invite, everyone can come. It's invite only. So we refer people because we've also created like a networking opportunity because somehow we're ending up with C-suite level people, government officials that all want to attend this gala. So for us, it's an opportunity to change the narrative, to make sure that they're there for the right reasons and what can they be involved in a bigger picture. So just drop us a message on our website or social media and be involved. There's going to be more. We just registered in the US, so that maybe we'll take on the US next year. Let's see. It could be a global thing. Who knows?
Oh, well, I'm sure it will be with you behind it. Goodness me, well done. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and wishing you, the Sparkle Foundation and your new role as motherhood all the very best. It's been a real pleasure having you here. Thanks, Sarah.
No, thank you so much. And honestly, with everything you're doing as well, it's brilliant. So at least we can both align and excited to see what we're going to be able to do.
Thank you.